It is time for another episode of the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. Let me move right here into the middle of the screen. I'm Steve Casillo. Appreciate you being here today. And if you're watching live on Facebook, yeah, you get the director's cut. It's green screen back here. If you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, well, yeah, we got this high-tech office thing going on behind us. And chances are you're doing one of two, maybe three things, as I mentioned, watching live on Facebook, watching the video on YouTube or LinkedIn, or you're listening to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. It is Friday, and every Friday we bring in our financial philosopher. That would be Phillip Washington Jr. Say hello to the Mansfieldians.
How's it going, Mansfieldians? Welcome.
And Are you hanging with the ice okay?
Yes, man. Yesterday, my trip to Kroger was. You heard what I said? Kroger.
Yeah, no S at the end.
My trip to Kroger was interesting. I had it was raining a little bit.
Yeah.
I took 45 minutes to get the ice off my car, and then I made it stop, and then the ice on my roof came on the thing while I was driving, so I had to pull over and push that aside, and it just was. Yeah, it was fun though. I mean, I had been locked up in the house for a couple of days, so I was grateful for the journey, for the adventure.
I was out. I drove to Fort Worth last night, and that was interesting because driving around the neighborhoods has been pretty dicey. But once you get into the major roads and even the freeways, I-35, I-30 last night, 287, they were all pretty good.
Yeah.
Instead of doing 70, I was probably doing 50.
Yeah.
But, driving with caution. But
yeah,
we're not here to talk about the ice.
Yeah.
We are here to deliver yet another 10-minute nugget of information about consumer finances. And today, the topic, the evolution of the knowledge economy.
Yes.
Okay. Step number one, for those out there, for the benefit of those, let's go back to Finance 101. What is the knowledge economy?
The knowledge economy is something like $20 to $30 trillion, and I can't remember if it's revenue or value, but it's an economy that's built around people paying other people for their knowledge. So think of consultants, investment advisors, financial planners, basically everything in finance, CPAs, attorneys. Yeah, but paying people for the hard work and knowledge they put in, acquiring knowledge. Education. Yeah, education too is a knowledge economy. And
programmers.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody who's paid for their mind versus doing something.
Okay.
Which we are doing something, but you know what I mean.
And so, let's going back to the title of today's episode, the evolution of knowledge economy. It's teed up.
Yeah. So everything has a cycle. Everything has a cycle, and we started the century shipping manufacturing and jobs of workers doing things to cheaper places across the world, and knowledge workers, we were safe. We were like, oh man, poor factory workers, and we were like, cool. We sat over here eating, sipping on our Starbucks, doing our thing, making our money. No real impact on us other than lower cost products from the cheaper labor. And then here comes artificial intelligence to say, no, look, we're coming for your jobs too, right? Because when you think about the mind and somebody who acquires a certain amount of knowledge, it's you're inputting data, right? That's one component. Is the amount of the books you read, the seminars you watch, the courses you take. That's like an input of data. And then what's your process for processing the data, or what we would call context, right? Contextualizing the data. And so that's a combination of your intelligence. And the most intelligent minds can have a higher billing rate.
Yeah.
And so when you compare that to what artificial intelligence is going to be able to do, when you look at the details of how smart they're getting, their ability to process data is getting cheaper and cheaper. And then the amount of data they can consume at an instant, we can't even come close. It's the equivalent of, give it a decade, probably sooner, but give it a decade. But even stuff that it does know right now, it's like trying somebody who understands math, the most intelligent person that understands math, trying to do a math problem faster than a calculator. Like, it's just not even close. And so that's where we're going with artificial intelligence ability to give us input on things that a knowledge worker would pay them lots of money for.
Yeah. Calculators are perfect.
Perfect.
And yet even the greatest mathematician may make a mistake.
Absolutely.
Is AI taking our jobs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I prefer the term. Here's another little nerd thing, right? When a sun blows up, it becomes a black hole, right?
Yeah.
And the black hole just spins around, gathering stuff from all over that gets sucked into it until eventually, like, it becomes a sun again and builds a whole new galaxy. That's the life cycle. So it destroys currently in the blow up and then becomes new life. And so this is what technology does. It like sucks in jobs, but then recreates new jobs. And so, yes, it's coming for our jobs in the current form, right? But we're always going to have knowledge workers. We've had knowledge workers since the beginning of time. Just how we, what we do with our minds is going to evolve and change because we evolve and change.
So we're creating another black hole.
We're creating another black hole. You want to go down it further?
Do it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give an example. So you look at calculators, and I think what was the movie Hidden Figures, where or I guess they were called computers, but you had like a whole whole group of women that were like computers,
Right.
right? And then computers came in and they replaced all those workers, but then what you had on top of that was you had computer programmers, right? Like, so the computers replaced the people, but then the people began operating on the computers. They became programmers, which enhanced what we can do, enhanced our productivity. And so you take a mathematician, and then you pair them up with a computer, and they become superhuman in their ability in that time period, right, relative to what other mathematicians can do. And so you take a knowledge worker, and then you pair it with artificial intelligence, and we become superhuman relative to ourselves today. You also have people working at the firm of the mind, right? I call a firm that's going to build the AI the mind, right?
Right. Okay.
Because you think about Google and their cloud infrastructure system, or Amazon and their cloud infrastructure system. We talked about it off air. Cloud is a mind. Cloud is like memory.
Cloud is like memory.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how we don't have to remember anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got this thing called Google, and now we got this thing called ChatGPT, PT. We got things that can remind us. I don't remember what I had for dinner last night, but I could probably Google it.
I say, and Google Photos. I mean, like, like, how many more memories can I go access visually, that I couldn't in the past, right? At an instant, at my fingertips. And those companies that are replacing our minds are massive. They're hiring the most people, right, that are working on the mind. So the minds are going to get smarter, and they're going to do more and more. And we're going to take more chunks of our mind and put it on the solid technology. Put more chunks of my mind, put it on technology, and we will continue to evolve and reinvent ways to do it. And we'll have new jobs that we can do that, right? Because like the people that work at the mines of these companies are highly paid with a great quality of life. So nothing was lost unless you resist the change. Now, if you resist the change, then you got stuck in the past, right? If you didn't want to reskill, then you got stuck. But
you're still riding a horse and buggy.
Right, or driving a taxi.
Now let's bring all this back to the consumer and the evolution of knowledge economy, and so let's Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a consumer and you're in the knowledge economy, I think the point is don't be afraid because with the evolution comes an increased quality of life, and which is higher pay, better experiences for those who embrace it. So I would like understand what's going on with artificial intelligence, begin to play with it, right? Download it, play with it, understand it, be aware of the companies that are operating in it. There may be job opportunities. From an investment standpoint, like same thing. So those are going to be companies you can invest in. If you're on a business, incorporate that into your business because it's going to allow you to. My chat GPT became a research assistant for my podcast that saved me hours of time for only $100 a month. Right. At one point I was going to have to hire a research assistant that I was going to have to find on Fiverr or somewhere that might have cost me $500 a month or more, probably more, with the level of content I put out, But for $100 a month, I mean, it's done. And ChatGPT is extremely smart at that aspect of what it does. And so, like, it's only going to compound and get better and make our lives easier, more enjoyable, raising our quality of life, which is our wealth.
And the days, the months, the years ahead, ChatGPT is not going to be the only player in town.
I think Google's going to smoke it because intelligence is a combination of the amount of data you have and the quality of your processing or contextualizing that data. And like nobody comes close to Google when you look at those two.
And so what I'm gathering, and I think we've touched on this before, is embrace the future.
Embrace the future because it is coming regardless.
Yeah. If someone wanted to reach out to Phillip Washington Jr. to talk about how to embrace the future, how can they get a hold of you?
Best way is stonehillwealthmanagement.com. We revamped the site just a little bit, not major, but it looks a little bit better. stonehillwealthmanagement.com.
That's Phillip Washington Jr. We do this every Friday morning right here on the About Mansfield Consumer Advice Series. And Phillip, have a great weekend. Stay dry, and let's do it again next week.
All right, thanks.